Today, we are reviewing one of my most anticipated movies of 2026, Project Hail Mary. Does it live up to the incredible book, or is this a failed launch? Let's discuss all this and more on the Late Night Movie Podcast. I really wanted to get Rocky into the pun, but I bottled it last minute. I couldn't get it to work. But anyway, welcome everyone back to the Late Night Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Welchy, and joining me today, as always, is Mr. Pop Figures himself, Andy.
Yeah, hello guys. Happy to be back. A bit of a rocky start from Welchie there, but finally took off. So here we go.
And Mr. 10 out of 10, Stephen.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be back, and I'm not even going to try and bother with a pun. Yeah, I can't really be bothered if I'm being perfectly honest. But yeah, really excited to talk about Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, this is, as I said, one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Massive fan of the book. Probably alongside June 3 and Avengers. I know everyone else is very excited for the Odyssey. Every trailer I've
Yes.
seen so far, I'm just like, okay, I'm going because it's Christopher Nolan, not because this excites me. Not, I'm sure I'll love it, but this film has been right up there. So very excited to talk about it. Very excited to see what you two think. I think I know what Andy thinks. I don't know anything what you think, Stephen. So that'd be interesting.
I don't
We
even know what Steven thinks actually.
I've
So
had
could go either way.
a text in from Jack. Literally, I'll tell you how long ago. It says 2 minutes ago with his review. So
Even it late.
he's just come out of cinema and sent his thoughts over. So
Oh, fair enough.
I'll be able to read his out as well. Um, so let's get straight into it. Obviously, Project Hail Mary did release on the 19th. Yeah, the 19th
Yeah,
of March, sorry.
yeah.
Um,
Last Thursday.
but Andy went to see an early screening of it on the 14th, basically Saturday before.
Whatever the Saturday was, yeah.
Yeah.
13th, 14th.
So it feels like probably a while for you, Andy. I watched
It
it
does, yeah.
opening night on Thursday, the official opening night, and Stephen, you watched it on Saturday?
Yeah, 10:30 screenings that came out at
Cool.
1:32. I
Yeah.
know.
I actually went and watched it in Chatham, guys, near you guys.
Oh, did you?
Odeon, yeah.
Hey. Oh, you went to
Interesting.
my local dockside that I'm normally at all the time.
Yeah,
I'm not with Andy and Nathan.
I have a funny story with that. So my dad read the book as well. We kind of read it at the same time, and we was both excited for the movie. And he said, "Oh, when are you going to see it?" I was like, "Oh, Thursday at my cinema." He was like, "Oh, well, we're not going together." I was like, I'm not waiting. Like, I'm going Thursday. If you're not
Yeah.
coming, then I'm going." And we eventually settled that we'd meet halfway, um, and that happened to be either Chatham or Rochester. And we picked Chatham.
How's
Um,
Chatham halfway? To where,
so my
to where
parents
you live?
live. Yeah,
Oh, they moved, have they?
yeah, you know where they live. I don't want to tell everyone on the podcast where they live, but that is
They
it's about halfway.
okay.
I don't live that far away. Um, and what was I going to say? You lost me. Oh, funny story. We tried to leave the car park after the film, and the barriers wouldn't
You did
raise.
market.
I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
That's quality.
Did you pay for the car park inside the cinema?
No,
I
you
didn't pay
obviously
fuck
didn't.
all. I didn't know how to pay for parking. I
Yeah.
used to live
Yeah.
around there, and they never used to charge for
No,
parking.
They
yeah.
yeah, so
It's
they
new.
they introduced it in like 2023. Originally, it was going to be like double the price of what you actually have to pay, and then there was some massive uproar about it. So they reduced the prices. So you get your first 90 minutes free,
Right.
and then it's about like £2.10.
Well, it
But
wasn't
yeah,
for
if
me because I didn't pay.
you
So we had to press the button on the buzzer, but because it was quite late, I think they just opened it. Um,
Oh, so you didn't have to pay?
well, I was worried we was going to get a fine. So we ended up downloading the app and tried paying after the fact, and we could, but
Oh,
it
okay.
was slightly more. So I think I ended
Yeah,
up
yeah.
paying like a fiver. I was like, it's annoying, but it's better than getting a fine.
it's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
because
true.
you could get a fine up to £50 if you
Yeah,
don't pay. So, and I've heard people that do get them, but yeah, sometimes like I'll come out like really late, and then the barrier will just be open, and I see loads of people probably just drive through. But I'm like, your
you still
number
get a
plate's
fine. There's
been
cameras. Yeah,
recognised. They've got like basically a team. They're not even attributed to Dockside, and all they do all day, every day, so they just check who's paid and then issue out fines.
yeah.
So it's definitely not worth taking kind of any form of risk.
So that was annoying, only because that was like my local for years, so I just assumed just turn up, not pay, and leave.
Things change at times, mate.
Yeah, massive piss
Did
take.
it not clock as you went in? Because there's a barrier that opens up.
I just
Obviously
assumed that
not.
was just something to stop people like going through too quick, like I just thought there's nothing about it. There's no button to press. I didn't see a sign saying pay. Anyway, let's move on to the film. Project Hail Mary, as I said, come out on Thursday. We're reviewing this on Monday, the 23rd. This will release on the 24th of March. Budget for this movie. Do you know how much it cost to make this two and a
I actually
half
don't
hour
know that.
long movie?
150 million?
Stephen?
Go with, I don't think it's that high. Maybe 120 million.
You don't think it's that high?
That's
Nearly
going to be a lot higher.
250 million.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay.
This was a big, big budget.
I mean, that makes sense because of the
They
visual
didn't
effects of the
use
film.
they didn't use any like green screens, did they? Is what I saw in
Apparently
an
not.
article. So it's all
Which
real
probably
stuff,
makes it cost
props and
more.
other.
They've got to be proper
Yeah.
props, proper lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously a big budget for Ryan Gosling, the star of the show. And obviously CGI, like visual effects to make Rocky, which isn't a spoiler.
Yep.
Box office to date, I looked at this about an hour ago. Is actually, I'll let you guess. How well do you think it's done worldwide?
80 million.
Stephen?
100 million.
140 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Opening
Wow.
weekend, essentially, maybe, and Monday plus. Very solid start. They've got to double it to match the budget, but obviously we know they need to do more than that. I don't think this will get to the billions, but I think it could maybe get to 5, 6.
I was thinking that 5, 6, 700 million, which will be a massive success for them.
Yeah, you have to at least double it, so they've got to get to at least 500 to be kind of good.
I think they will.
I'm tempted. Well, I'll talk about it later, but hopefully they can meet that budget. Rotten Tomatoes. I picked this in the Rotten Tomatoes game, so it had a lot of riding on it. And it is my first 90 score from last year or this year, with 95. Currently the highest any of us have got, I'm proud to say. Currently. I think that will change with some movies coming out this year. Audience score of 96, which is very, very good. But Letterboxd 4.4, which is an astronomical score. And Andy, correct me if I'm wrong. I told you this stat the other day. I think you knew it anyway. The top 100 movies or top 500 movies ever?
It was top 100 at the time.
It's in the top 100 movies on Letterboxd of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Obviously that could drop, but it's still at 4.4. As I last checked earlier today, so it's doing very, very well. That's it for stats and figures. Let's move into our reviews. I've been toying all day who's going to start this. I don't know if it should be me, being the book lover, or if I should go last to get your thoughts first. I think we'll start with Andy, because you watched it first.
Okay.
And I know your thoughts, so I'm going to kind of keep Stephen as a surprise for me for the second one. So Andy, what did you think of Project Hail Mary?
Where to begin? This film was too long, too boring. Nah, I'm just kidding. This film was incredible from beginning to end. I obviously went with my partner Beth to watch it, and we were just sitting there throughout the whole film. It was just one emotional sort of long ride, and it was incredible. It was, and I'm going to use this word because it'll hint towards my score, it was an absolute masterpiece. And everyone that I've been speaking to, I've been recommending it to them, saying, go watch it. I can't see anyone going to this film and not watching it, even though someone has, and I'm going to have words with them tomorrow when I see them at work. But yeah, it's brilliant how they've done it. It's just so clever. I came out of the film and said, like, I spoke to you earlier, Welchy, about the trailer and how they've done the trailer. For that's so clever when you see those parts of the trailer in the film and all the context behind those moments and the meaning that they have. Ryan Gosling, this has got to be one of his best performances ever, if not the best performance from him. Obviously, I know he's done some better than Half Nelson. Obviously, he's put in some strong performances in
Yeah.
other films. Like
Yeah.
I like him in Barbie. I know you guys like him in that
Drive.
Baby Drive film,
Drive, yeah, he's
which I haven't
incredible in
watched it.
Drive.
But yeah, his performance in this, I just thought he delivered outstandingly well for his character, Grace. So yeah, and then the relationship between him and Rocky, obviously going into the film, seeing Rocky in the trailer and what that was all going to be about, I was like, not sure I'm gonna like that or find that a bit weird. But as soon as you have that instruction to both of them from the get go, it's funny, it's emotional. By the end of it, you're thinking, fucking hell, how can you love a rock the way that they've done this film? Like literally, it's a rock, and you're like, how the hell can you have feelings for this rock? And you do because of the way that they've written it. It's like, yeah, it's just incredible. The music in this film, the karaoke scene, the choice of songs, that song in particular by Harry Styles, and even the name of it is like such a
Sign
genius
of the
thing.
time.
Yeah, so it's just all those small details. The moment where I want to be careful with stepping onto sort of spoilers, but
Yeah.
there's certain moments in the film where they have the intense music and those moments where it's like goosebumps moments, and you're thinking, wow, that's like just such an incredible shot. It just looks like amazing, and with the music on top, like everything just felt so silent, but so much happened in like those scenes. Um, so yeah, it was incredible. It was there's not I there's not one thing I can think about and watch one thing I can think about the film where I think that was bad. Like I tried to think to see if I could mark it down for anything, and there wasn't anything bad about the film at all. There wasn't any, even the length of the film, like I forgot how long it was, and someone, I think maybe you, Stephen, mentioned it was like 2 hours 50 minutes or whatever it was.
Two
I
hours
was like,
38.
really? I was like, when I was watching it, it just like flew by. I was like, wow, that did not feel like 2 hours and 40 minutes at all. Um, the story, the plot line, obviously we've had films similar to that, but the way that they again do it, sort of putting that intensity onto the film, and Ryan Gosling's character, obviously being a science teacher, is not exactly the person you would rely on to save the world, but the way that he jumps into it in a certain way. And I'll obviously go into more into that in spoiler details, but yeah, the way that you think the direction the film's going, and then when it's showing like the flashback scenes, it's jumping back to the way it starts with him already in space, and thinking, okay, how does he end up there? And there's obviously showing the flashbacks, and you're thinking, wow, that's amazing, heroes, all that sort of thing. And then obviously other flashbacks that reveal more sort of hidden details that you didn't sort of expect to see. But by that point, you've already got the relationship between Grace and Rocky, which is built up. Yeah, it was just incredible. It's such a heartfelt, emotional film. I won't say anything about the ending until we go into spoilers, but yeah, I loved every single moment of it. So
Did you like the ending?
I liked the ending, yes.
Okay.
It's a film about sacrifice. It's got everything in there that you'd want from a sci-fi space save the world film. So yeah, not one thing I can think about that's bad about it. It had the right amount of sort of comedy, the right type of comedy throughout the film, with Grace, with Ryan Gosling's character Grace, and sort of understanding the ship and space and how everything works. Then his relationship with Rocky was funny as well, and then the way that Rocky was adapting throughout the film and his growth and then their growth together. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was outstanding.
So I'm gonna guess you're giving this a 10.
I am giving it a 10. You see my score on Letterboxd, gave it a
Okay.
5 out of 5. I said potentially movie of the year. Have to wait and see what else comes out, but it's definitely probably my favorite film of the year so far, with Bone Temple just below it.
I was gonna say, so that's your second 10 of the year after Bone Temple.
Yeah,
Cool. Very good. Glad you enjoyed it. Stephen,
definitely enjoyed it.
let's see. Are you on the same page as Andy, or are you on the other side? Are you a hater?
Okay, so I went to see this in IMAX as well. So I originally was going by my self, but I had two friends round, went to watch the football, our local football team, which was shit, nothing to do with the movie review generally. And I had a couple of drinks in me, so I wasn't driving. So I had like 3 or 4 drinks in me before going to see Project Hail Mary at like 10:30 at night. So yeah, me and my friend went. I'm so glad that I saw this in IMAX. I'm guessing you guys didn't see it in IMAX.
I was going to
No.
until my dad said he wanted to go. That time didn't work for us.
Right, I see. Well, I'll get on to sort of my thoughts about it, but I have to say, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I am pretty much on the same page with Andy. I do have one nitpick, which I will get to. There is one bit that I have been debating in my mind what my score will be based on this, and I am talking about something really nitpicky. But let's start with the positives and everything that this movie deserves, because I went into it sort of with high expectations, knowing that it's from the author of The Martian, loving The Martian so much. I keep working out in my head which movie I like more. Is it The Martian? Is it Project Hail Mary? Still haven't quite worked out what the answer to that is. I feel like I need to see Project Hail Mary probably a few more times, because I've seen The Martian 3 to 4 times. So I feel like it'd be quite unfair, because I'd need to see it the same amount of time to then make that comparison. I've never seen a film that looks as visually stunning as this film. I know I saw it in IMAX, so I had it on the biggest screen, the best sound, but there were moments where I literally broke the code of conduct and went, fuck me, that is incredible. There's certain things which we'll get onto spoiler territory that just literally my jaw was on the floor with just how visual it looked. And the fact that they didn't use CGI is even more nuts and mental.
They have the cinematographer in this film is one of the most highly sought after cinematographers in the world at the minute.
Oh,
And he did June and June 2 as
That
well.
makes sense.
And he's in this
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
but he's now locked up on the Beatles films.
right.
Oh, okay.
And it feels like a waste. Like, going from these sci-fi massive
Yeah.
films. I'm sure those Beatles films now could look fucking great, but I just think
Is he the cinematographer for June Part 3?
I don't think so, because I think he's locked in. I don't know. I'd have to have a look. Actually, that's a good question.
I mean, what was interesting is that I saw the first trailer for June Part 3 in IMAX as well, and I was like, okay, obviously I need to watch the June films at some point, but that does equally look really good. I've wrote in my notes, it at moments felt like a 4D film, but in 2D. That's how nuts the visuals were. I would love. I'm so tempted to go to watch this in 4DX, because I feel like the experience in 4DX of this film will be like out of this world. No pun intended. I thought Ryan Gosling was absolutely fantastic in the role. He's funny, he's captivating, he's emotional when it needs to be. Really, if he fails, the movie fails, because a lot of it is fully focused on his performance, and this is his best performance. I didn't think I'd see anything better than what I saw in Drive. This is better than Drive. This is absolutely Ryan Gosling at his absolute best. I would be stunned if he's not highly up there for Best Actor at the Academy Awards for next year. Obviously you've got Tom Holland in
We've
The
got a lot of
Odyssey.
stuff coming, yeah.
There's a lot of competition, but right now, and I looked at probably the only other one that I'd say this year, Ray Fiennes in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. They're like the 2 best performances
So
I've seen
far.
on the big screen. But yeah, Ryan Gosling's
Thingy,
performance.
what's his name? The guy who just lost this year. Oh my god, what's his name? June Free actor. What's his name, for God's sake? I can't remember his name now. He just did Marty Supreme.
Oh, Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy
Yeah,
Chalamet. He'll be up for it for
Chalamet.
June, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Odyssey's got Matt Damon or whatever, and I'm sure Leonardo's in something this year. The cinematographer, going back to that, is Greg Fraser. Listen to these films, right? June 2, Project Hail Mary, The Batman.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars Rogue One, which is most people's like favorite recent Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Zero Dark 30.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So this guy is, but he's not listed for June 3.
You put him in as your cinematographer. You've basically got like a high. I think even the Batman got a high 80s score on Rotten Tomatoes. So you've got a banker there for sort of high 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
The relationship between him and Rocky is absolutely incredible. You alluded to it. How the hell can I have feelings towards Rock? There were moments where our friend Jack literally said to me after the film, I could hear you going, I didn't cry, but I never thought a fucking rock could bring me to the point of almost tears. I was like, what is going on? Is it because I've had like a number of alcoholic drinks that this is getting to me? I don't think that's the case. I think generally it is so good. As soon as sort of Rocky gets onto the screen, which I think is around about the 40-minute mark, from that point onwards, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. From a visual level, audio level. I loved how the story worked in terms of starting with Ryan Gosling up in space, and then through flashbacks, kind of finding out more and more, sort of, because for large parts of the movie, Grace is, which we'll get into spoilers, and you're trying to work out, well, how do we then get to where we see you at the beginning of the film? I thought that was done really, really well. And generally, the movie as a whole is just incredible. It is one of those movies, Andy, you perfectly described it in terms of the fact that it's got everything that you want, not just from a sci-fi movie, but from a general sort of movie. You know, you're on the edge of your seat. You laugh. I laughed countless times, constantly laughing all the way through. It had that similar humor that what The Martian has, where like Matt Damon has those one-liners, and I was like, I could tell that this is from the same source, because it's the same screenwriter that put The Martian on screen that has done Project Hail Mary. It's just a different director. My only gripe, and this is a very, very nitpicky thing that I'm going to say. The only thing that I disagree with what Andy said is I do think the length is a little bit on the questionable side, because my only thing is I thought the first 40 minutes at times was a little bit, it took a bit of a time to get itself going. Now, the caveat to that could be that if I rewatch it now knowing the story, I might find that first act way more captivating. But both me and our friend Jack agreed that I did feel that it was probably 20, 25 minutes too long. And the bits that I would say you could have shortened is the very moments at the beginning of the film with Ryan Gosling in the spaceship all by himself. I know you're setting the scene and he's trying to work things out, but I did feel that the movie took a little bit too long. And again, it's a nitpick, because I'm not saying that it took away from how amazing the movie was, but that is my only thing that was making me sort of debate what score I'm going to give it, because not only am I saying it's a nitpick, but normally you'll say, but I don't know what bit I'd take out because of how amazing the movie was. I've got a pinpoint example of what could have been slightly shortened. If this was clocking at maybe, I don't know, 2 hours 10, I think it would have been an even better experience than what we got. But having said that, basically, as soon as Rocky gets onto the screen, it becomes an absolute masterpiece. It was at that moment I was like, okay, here we go. And then I blinked and we were at the end of the film. So that would be my only. And to be fair, I've spoken to other people about it. I'm not alone in feeling that, despite the high praise. I have read a couple of reviews that people are saying that it could have been slightly shorter. Not massively. I'm not saying that it needs to lose like an hour, but I think at 2 hours 38, that first act for me, and I could rewatch it and go, oh, I completely disagree with what I'm saying. I'm curious to see what more so Welchy you think, because I know that you of long films generally are not a fan. So it could just be me. And me, I've seen very, very long films. So I'm not the sort of person that gets annoyed at that. I just felt that there was a couple of moments in that first act where I'm like, okay, so can we, and then it did. So that is my only sort of, if I had to give a constructive bit of criticism. But I feel like I'm pretty set in stone in my score now, based on my overall thoughts of the film.
Which is?
I will give it a 10 out of 10. I was debating 9.5 based on the length.
Lovely.
But I just feel that
living up to your name.
I was going to say, you can't do anything else.
Well, no, the other thing as well. What are my 10s this year?
Hoppers.
Have I given for Hoppers? Yeah.
And Bone Temple.
Okay, so 28 years later, the Bone Temple for me personally is my favourite film of the year. This is just behind. I'm like an opposite Andy, where I would put the Bone Temple higher, maybe just because of my love for horror and the fact that I just think that that was an incredible piece of work, an amazing film. But also the fact that like Hoppers is a 10, but for different reasons. But I thought I can't really give Hoppers a 10 and give this a 9.5. They're on the same level. But even with I was speaking to our friend Jack about this because he was quite strict, because I said, what score would you give it? And he said a 9. because of the length. Because his mindset is that a 10 is absolute perfection. You don't have a single problem with it. And if there is a problem with it, it should be marked down. Whether that was a dig at me for being too lenient with my scores. But we've always said on this podcast, in both the movie and the gaming side, that even if you give something a 10, there always can be something. Nothing is pinpoint perfection.
No.
There's always something. My thought is does that thing where I thought it could be maybe 20 minutes shorter be the reason why I'd mark it down? And based on everything else that happens in the film, I feel like it would be unfair to do that. So that's why I'm happy in giving it a 10.
Very good. Very good. 2 10 out of 10s. Interesting. Yeah, so my thoughts. I mean, I don't really think I can comment on the length in terms of what you're saying because I'm coming at it from a very different angle. I know what happens in this book. So everything that happened at the beginning, I could relate to what happened in the book, and I enjoyed seeing it happen on the screen. So it might have been boring for you, but I'm like, I remember that bit, I remember that bit, I remember this bit. Oh,
So
they've
do
done
you
that
think if
differently,
you
they've done this
hadn't
differently.
read the book,
I
do
don't
you
know
think
because for
you
me,
don't know?
this film lengthwise was perfect. Like, well, I say
Okay.
perfect. Obviously, there's stuff in the book that isn't in this film because this film would have been 5 hours long or more.
Yeah.
And I'll get into
Yeah.
those points in the spoilers because I don't want to spoil people reading the book and stuff. So in a dream world, I'd have had maybe like a TV show, but I wouldn't like this in TV show format. But an even longer film where they got even more of that stuff in.
Right.
But I get they're not going to do that. So for what it was, I thought it was a perfect length for me. But I don't know if I came in fresh without knowing. Maybe that first 40 minutes before Rocky is like, what we're really doing here.
Yeah.
I fucking loved this movie. I absolutely loved it. It makes me so happy that they pulled it off. I can't believe they pulled it off.
Yeah.
As well as they did. There's a few changes that I'll go through in spoilers, which I find interesting. Some that I don't mind. Some that I think are they improve for at least the for the movie side of things. I think it's perfect the way the book does it, perfect the way the movie does it because it has to be done in the movie's way. I don't think there's anything they changed that I didn't like. I would be interested in getting your opinions on a few things from someone who hasn't read the book because
Yeah.
it felt like I felt as someone who does know the book, they took a lot of things and made like assumptions that you knew what was happening, and I'm like, is the people that haven't read the book getting this as much? So we'll get into that
Okay.
later. From you both loving it, obviously, I'm guessing you understood pretty much everything that was happening. I'm not saying it's not easy to follow. I'm just saying there's things in the background. Anyway, we'll get to it. But on my overall thoughts, I fucking loved it. I think Ryan Gosling is outstanding in this movie, and he is the perfect choice for this character. He did it perfectly. Rocky was incredible. That was the hardest part to get right by far.
Yeah.
And it's not right as such from my memory. He's much bigger in the book. Not much. He's not bigger
Okay.
than Ryan Gosling, but I remember them describing him like almost like Labrador size, like a bit bigger than what he is in this. But the voice was the bit I was worried about because obviously he does all this in the book. I don't think this is really spoilers, but he learns to communicate with Rocky. Obviously, they don't speak the same language, and I was thinking, how are they going to get that right? Because if it doesn't sound good, it's just not going to be good. But fucking nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It's as funny as the book is. It's as heartwarming as the book is. It is absolutely phenomenal what they've done here.
I thought it was a great choice that they used sort of an unknown for the voice of Rocky.
Yeah.
Because it was like throughout the film, I thought it was someone that I recognised. And then when I went on to of IMDb, I was like, I don't know who you are. I know he's done probably a couple of other bits and pieces, but nothing like major. But I think that's great because you completely fall into Rocky's character. Whereas sometimes in the voiceover, you're like, if it was someone like, I don't know, like Samuel Jackson, hypothetically, you then get taken out. That's
exactly.
the voice of Samuel Jackson.
Completely agree.
So I actually think that was a really good choice to pick somebody that isn't particularly well known.
Yeah, there's a spoiler there. I won't spoil that, but I like the scene where they were choosing the voice and they were going through different voices.
Yeah, there was some. I laughed out loud, particularly at one person.
Yeah, it was really good.
A further comment about.
Ah, that's what I was gonna say. Shit. I was talking about the voices, Rocky, size of him.
Ryan
Oh,
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling was amazing. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Ryan Gosling actually said in one of his interviews that that guy, I'm butchering. I don't know who this guy is. Let me find it out. I feel like I'm not doing him injustice by not saying what his name is.
Is it James something?
He was never meant to be the voice. So he was meant to be doing, I think they said like motion capture, which I don't understand how you do that for Rocky personally. But he was involved, and they started like messing around with the voice, and ended up just going with him. It's James Ortiz.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah, apparently he wasn't meant to be the voice, but they ended up loving what he was doing and got the role. Um, Sandra Huller's really good in this. Everyone's really good in this. There's not a bad performance in this. But obviously the main three being Ryan, James Ortiz, and Sandra, they dominate the
yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, fantastic. They did everything. They did the book justice. The ending is just as sweet and perfect as it was in the book. Um, I can't think of anything where I was like, I don't like how they did that. Everything I was like,
Yeah.
very good. Things look different to what I expect them to look in my head, but that's just how imagination works. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
um, always going to be different. The beginning is slightly different. We'll get into all that in spoilers because I've got so much to say about how things they did differently for the benefit of the movie. Nothing was done to the detriment, in my mind, anyway. Um, so I am pleased to say I am giving this my first 10 out of 10. The very first 10
Hey,
on the movie podcast, anyway. Um,
finally.
That's a huge moment.
yeah, I was toying with 9.5 just because I would still say the book is better, and I don't want to be that person who's like, oh, the book's better. I'm giving this a 10. I'm not saying like
Yeah.
it's much in it. You just get more detail, and as you always would
We've
in a
we've had
book.
this debate before when we spoke about it that it's impossible not to compare,
Yeah,
but unfair to mark it down if that is your only
you have to
critique.
appreciate it has to be changed in certain ways to
Yeah,
fit the movie. You can't. There's
yeah.
so much
Yes.
science in the book
To be
that it would bore the fuck out of everyone in a movie
the
sense.
the fact for me as well, when you look at sort of an audience score of like 96% for just shy of a 3 hour movie,
Yeah,
like you're 20 minutes away from 3 hours, it kind of suggests that even someone like myself, that is the only thing that I can see people maybe like taking an issue with.
and it's
I've seen
anything I
some
can see
reviews where
people
people,
saying we recommend it to people. Then they go, oh, "How long is it?" You say, "Oh, nearly 3 hours." They go, "Oh,
mm,
maybe not." It's
but
like, no, please go, please watch
Yeah.
this
I've
movie.
read a couple of other reviews where people have said that it's like boring and really poor performance. I'm like, you just didn't watch the same film as
No,
me. I can't
you
see
can't
anyone
say bad
coming out.
performance for sure.
You can't, but even like it's once Rocket, there's nothing boring.
No,
Like I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, I'm like, can't wait for this to end. Like, you don't
no.
because it just takes you into that world.
Mm.
So there has been a couple of like reviews. I'm like, did you watch the same thing as me, or are you like deliberately trying to just
Get the clicks.
be edgy
Yeah,
and say that it's bad? Because it is one of those where, again, my only bit of constructive criticism, everything else was absolutely perfect
yeah,
because there isn't anything that I can think and go, oh, that wasn't great, or I didn't enjoy that. It is one of those. It's similar to how I thought with The Martian came out. I'm thinking like I could easily come out and go back in and watch it straight away. Same kind of thing with Project Hail Mary.
yeah. I would say I think this is significantly better than The Martian, but I obviously gave The Martian an 8.
Yeah,
Um, the Martian, there's similar things in this film. There's a chunk at the end of both books, which both films kind of skip past, but they don't skip past it in such a bad way in this film. In The Martian, I'm like, that's one of the best parts of the book, and you've just kind of completely
yeah.
ignored it. At this part, it's like, yeah, it's a fucking great part of the book, and you've mentioned it and you've spoke about it, and we've seen it to a bit, just nowhere near to the same extent. So it's like
Okay.
I can accept what they've done because they have to move on, because otherwise we are going to be here for 3.5 hours. Whereas
Yeah.
The Martian, I'm like, no, that's upset me a little bit that
Mm.
we've skipped past a major plot point in the book.
I also think because Andy kind of mentioned it briefly, so it's not really a spoiler, but I thought the Sign of the Times sequence like shouldn't have worked.
I'm gonna say
Probably
that's
it
my
works
least favorite
so
part of the
perfectly.
film is the
Oh,
karaoke.
okay.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Ah,
the
I
one
really like
bit.
that movie.
That's the one bit I was like, I don't need this. If I was going to take anything
I
out of this movie, it'd be that.
I think though the reason why I love that scene so much is it grounds sort of the humanity side and that risk of
Yeah,
sacrifice. That it's a moment that everybody comes together and just shares that feeling. The song is really synonymous. If you read between the
yeah.
lyrics, it is a perfect song for that film. My only other upsetting bit is I was waiting for Oasis' Champagne Supernova to come at some point. And there were so many moments where I was like, this would be perfect. There's literally, again, no spoiler, but there's like a supernova scene.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, we're going to hear it. And even like some of the bits of the instrumental music sounded like the beginning of it. So I was getting really excited. And I thought, oh, maybe at the end credits because they used it in the trailer. And I was like, oh man, I thought I'm not obviously going to mark it down because of that. But like,
Yeah.
that was a perfect use of music, which they used in the trailer. I'm a bit surprised that didn't make it into the film. Or I thought maybe the karaoke scene that Ryan Gosling was then going to take
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
to the mic, but obviously then that would have started to go too long. But
Yeah, I just think I've done this before. When we reviewed Smile, or when I spoke about Smile 2, I said my least favorite parts of that is all the dancing and singing. I just don't think I like that in movies in general. So when she
yeah,
just did a, well, probably only when it felt like 5 or 10 minutes, but it probably was 2 minutes of her
Yeah.
singing. I was like, let's get back to Rocky now. Come on, let's skip this bit.
I think
But
you're
again,
just not a fan. I think that's more a personal thing on yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I just don't think it's for me. But again, I'm not going to knock that for a 2 minute section of the film. Um, I want to get into spoilers, so let's have a very quick break. Actually, we'll read. Let me make sure Jack's review has no spoilers. Um, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Okay, I'll read it out. So, Jack wrote in saying, just got back from the cinema. Apologies if you're already filming. You was 2 minutes ahead of schedule, Jack. Um, Project Hail Mary was unreal. Great film with really touching moments and told in a way that keeps you asking questions about the characters. The story, everything, comedy between the two main actors was brilliant too, and very tempted to give the book a go now as well. Rocky Tars was just unbelievable. I don't know what Tars means. I feel like there's a typo there, but I'm guessing it means Rocky was unbelievable. Um, Loved his character, and Gosling beside him was just excellence. 4.5 stars.
4.5. Oh,
I'm guessing that's a 9 or a
oh,
9.5 then. Interesting.
Yeah. I'd say more than 9.5.
interesting.
Yeah. I will say, actually, just before we go into spoilers, in terms of best movies ever, sci fi movies, everything, I'm not saying this is the best movie ever. I'm not saying it's my favorite sci fi. I can't decide where it fits. I said it's better than The Martian. I don't think it's quite as good as Interstellar. And I think it's better than June 1. I don't think it's better than June 2.
So my only
It's up there,
disagreement
though.
with that, I think it's far less superior than Interstellar.
Oh, what is the hate for Interstellar?
It's just more so that you can pick holes in the plot. The emotional punch that movie has is insane, but it's all over the place. If you really sit there and start dissecting it as a plot, the plot of Project Hail Mary, I know it's based on source material, is in a different league to Interstellar. Still, I mean, I would give Interstellar probably a 9. I would
Wow.
if I was reading it, I'd
I'd have
give
to
it a
watch them both
9
again,
based
but
on the plot. But I
Interstellar
just
is
think that
something else. The music in that is even
there's
better than this.
it is, but then for me, I know we're not talking about Interstellar, but I've always felt that Interstellar is so much more like style over actual substance. It's the weakest Christopher Nolan written thing that he's done. That's what lets me down because he's a great writer. There are
This is a
moments in that
hot
plot where
take.
I,
This is a
I
hot
know
There's
when
no
I
take.
came
episode
out,
coming. Top
no, when I
10
came
James
out of
Bond.
it, I remember watching it. I remember going with my dad to watch it. I was thinking, I just expect like better writing, but maybe because I hold Christopher Nolan so high up that I'm being harsh. But yeah, I would say for you, Project Hail Mary should be ahead. Maybe not ahead of June. I haven't seen June,
June
but
2
not ahead of
is, yeah,
Interstellar.
that is something special. Okay, let's take a very quick break, and when we come back, we're going to spoil the movie and the book. Um, Not too much in case you two want to read it and anyone else, but I'll be comparing differences obviously, if you know the story of this film, you know the story of the book anyway. So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, please pause now, come back when you've watched it. If you don't mind, if you've already seen it, then we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to the Late Night Movie Podcast. We have just been reviewing Project Hail Mary, and we all gave it 10 out of 10. So we obviously all loved it. We're now going to go into spoilers. So this is your last warning. If you don't want to be spoiled, please leave now, because we are going to be spoiling the book and the movie. So, where do we want to start? I mean, we're not going to just talk about the story from beginning to end, but is there anything you want to talk about before I go into the differences?
I think we start with the beginning because, like, obviously Stephen's marking it down for the length of the film,
Fair,
and I quite like the length of the film. So with the start of the film, obviously you have it starting off with Ryan Gosling
Waking up.
in the ship. He's then sort of like going around the ship, sort of thinking like, what the hell's going on? He's like confused. And I'm sitting there watching it thinking, why the hell is he confused? Like, why does he not know the ins and outs of this ship and like how does everything work and stuff? And so for that entire like 30-minute, 40-minute section, I'm questioning myself and like, what the hell? Why does he not know what's going on? Like, what's happening? He's obviously, from the trailer and what we know about the story, he's volunteered to be on that ship to go save the world, to save the planet, to stop the sun from dying. So that whole first 40 minutes, I was so confused to what was actually happening, but also it had the comedy side where he's obviously messing things up as well and getting confused and stumbling over himself and stuff. So I really enjoyed that start to when you find out that he was basically forced onto the ship because of what happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that first 40 minutes, like, oh, okay, so that's why he was confused about how to actually operate everything, because he actually wasn't
An astronaut.
planned to be going on there. He wasn't. You think, oh, he's a hero, he's this brave person that's going to sacrifice himself to save the world, to find out that actually he was almost the opposite, going to be a coward. And well, he did, until they injected him, put him to sleep and put him on the ship. So that's why I liked the first 40 minutes or so of film and didn't think it was long at all.
There's another part to that though, and they don't explain this in the movie.
Okay.
So obviously, I agree with everything you're saying, and then he didn't volunteer himself, so he wouldn't know how to use the ship. But you also have the fact that he didn't remember his crewmates. He was looking at them like, I don't know who you are. I must have been friends with you.
Yeah.
So
Obviously something's been affected.
So what actually happens in the
waking up
book
system, yeah,
is not only are they put into a coma, but they're given this. I think it's like I'm going to call it a French one. I don't know why French is coming to mind, but it's like a French amnesia drug. So the French have come up with this amnesia drug, and they're forcing the people going on the ship to have amnesia. And they explained it in the book. I can't remember exactly why, but they wanted them to figure it out themselves, and they don't want to come straight back to reality and remember everything. And I think one of the reasons was if they come back to reality and saw their people dead straight away, they'd be really sad and really emotional and taken aback by it. Whereas if you, yes, seeing a dead body is scary anyway, but if you're like, I don't know who the fuck you are, it's a bit more.
Yeah.
So they purposely make them. They want them to figure things out slowly, and the amnesia drug eventually leaves their system, and they come back and remember everything. So was it clear to you in the movie that the flashbacks were him slowly regaining his memory?
Yeah, in
that's how it happens in
some
the
of
book.
them. Yeah, I think I thought it was.
Okay, because that's one of the things I was like.
It's more. In some of the scenes, there's more. I can't obviously think of them off the top of my head right now, but there were certain scenes where they done the flashback and he almost sends like something else happens after.
Yes,
yeah, where it's more noticeable, but maybe not to begin with. It probably wasn't.
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting because I thought it was sort of the movie taking two sort of timelines in taking us through to get us up to the point which it does. But I then thought naturally as he's on the ship, but I didn't think it was the flashback was the movie's message of showing you his thought process. Like I've only got that from what you've said, but I'm assuming you knew that from the book. So that's probably one of those changes where I just thought it was two timelines that were then being told, which lots of movies do.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was an actual proper. We're seeing his memories resurfacing and coming back. Maybe it's not as clear as Ali said when you're first watching it. Maybe when you watch it a second time, that then becomes really evident. But I just saw it as over time,
just showing us.
Yeah, because he says things that correlate then to the flashback.
Yeah.
So I was just assuming that it's just his way. That it wasn't anything to do. That was separate. It was just us. So we get to a point where the timelines sort of intersect in the middle, and then we get to its third act.
No, it's it's meant to be. It's him slowly getting his memories back, and he's remembering why the fuck he's there. Like at the beginning, doesn't even remember he's a teacher, and he's like, I remember, like, I'm getting memories of kids. That sounds really bad.
Yeah,
but in the book, he's like, do I have kids? Like, or is it? Then he's like, oh, actually, no, I'm a teacher.
And then the second, or I think even the first flashback is him teaching kids
in school,
at the school. So now that makes perfect sense. That would be the first memory that enters his mind.
And then he remembers, I think her name was Stool, General Stool, whatever her name was, the lady who's like overseeing the planet at this point.
Yeah.
And the whole story about the astrophage and how he was then asked to test them, blah blah blah. And it's that last one where they force him on, and when he has that in the book, like when it gets back to him in real time, he's like, I didn't fucking volunteer. I shouldn't be here. Like, this isn't supposed to be me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he has like this like emotional breakdown in the book. And you kind of see it in the film for like, he's like really sad for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of those things which I get why they've done it the way they've done it. But I think knowing that it's him struggling to remember and he's finally remembering these things helps in the book anyway.
It's more subtle. And to go back to that, I had the same thought process as you, Ali, where I was like really confused, and I did spend the first 40 minutes thinking about it. I think it's just more like there were just sometimes shots of where it would just pan on Grace, and in my mind I was just going, okay, I get it. Like I understand. We can move on. There's like another sequence where Grace gets knocked out with Rocky in the ship. And it feels about an eternity that we are just honed in on Grace knocked out. And again, that was where those were the moments in the movie where I was a little bit like, similar to how you were feeling with the karaoke bit. I was like, I get it. He's knocked out. It then goes to Rocky sacrificing himself first time.
That is my favourite bit in the book.
Which is great, because also I got really sad thinking, oh no. And then like when Rocky returns on the screen, you're like full of joy. But it was just little moments like that where, again, if they cut the shot in half, I just think it was a bit more impactful. I just feel like it was those moments. And again, it's really, I'm not normally the nitpicky one, so I feel really bad saying this. But that was what was in.
See any issues with those moments.
I just felt that at times it just, I don't know what it was. I just felt that it just went a bit longer than what it needed to. It was just sometimes longer films have this thing where, because you've got a running time of 2 hours 40, and like filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino's prime example, just because the thing is 2 hours 50 minutes, I refer to it as shoe leather, where you're taking a liberty, where sometimes being a bit more choppy can sometimes have more of a bigger impact. But again, I didn't come away for it going, well, that ruined it for me by spending too long on Ryan Gosling's face. But it's just those tiny little things that if it goes from being a 10 to being like one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, that for me is where I would mark it down in that respect. But as I said, once we got to Rocky, it was almost like that problem was then resolved.
Yeah.
I only noticed it really in that first act a couple of times, and that scene when he's knocked out. But barring that, there were no other problems.
I get what you're saying. I just can't believe you're nitpicking that scene, because that scene is so impactful,
emotional.
It is, but then it took me away from the emotion of that by how long we spent in that first sort of tracking shot. Again, it's small, but it's finer details in terms of the fact that it's really emotional. I couldn't quite believe it, but the emotion came at more of Rocky's sacrifice, not Grace being knocked out. So before he does that, it focuses on that, what feels like a really long period of time. So at that stage of the film, the emotion.
I think you had too many beers. I think you need to go back and watch this over, because that clip was not long at all. Like, I don't. From me watching it, it didn't feel long at all. It's like such an emotional scene, and like you say, when Rocky then sacrifices
out,
himself
yeah.
to try
Yeah,
and
but the
save
emotion
Grace,
comes
it was like
after with Rocky. That's what
that
I'm
whole
saying.
scene was emotional. Like starting with
Hmm.
Grace and then realizing what Rocky's about to do to try and save him. It's all emotional, and I don't think it pans on Ryan Gosling for too long at all.
There is a slight difference in that part. I mean, all that happens, Rocky gets out, he helps him out and saves Grace.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how it happens, but then Grace has to save Rocky like very shortly after because he's been outside, and he like puts him in
yes,
his thing. But
yeah.
by doing what he did, I can't remember the details. He almost kills Rocky. So I
Okay,
think he had like load of like where he was smoking, he had load of like ash on him or like basically scabs, what we would call scabs. And
yeah.
Grace like gets rid of them all, thinking it's bad for him, and it actually was saving him from
All
dying. And
right.
he's like, "You almost killed me." Like it's like, oh shit. Um,
Okay.
the other big difference, and you probably found it as one of the funniest scenes, and it was funny when he says to Grace like, "Oh, you eat so ugly. Like, why do you eat so ugly? Like, this is how we eat." And he
Oh
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shoves it up
it's
his
hilarious
ass.
that bit.
Yeah.
It's from my memory, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's the exact opposite in the book. Rocky is embarrassed to eat because he's like, "Oh, the way we eat is so ugly. Like, I won't eat in front of you. Like,
Oh,
we
okay.
eat in private. We don't eat in front of each other because it's a disturbing thing." So I was like, "That's an
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting choice." Because it's the comedy side of it.
it
Yeah.
is.
Like in the
That
book, it's
definitely
much
adds to
more
it.
obviously scientific. They're talking about the differences in
The
cultures. For him to then just in the movie, I was like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
how I
the
imagined it. I just didn't think we'd see it."
the amount of moments of like when they were talking about Rocky's partner and just
Mm,
having all of these like different conversations of him understanding the sort of thing. I love the fact where he just always says to Grace, like you must be really stupid, aren't you? And
yeah,
sort of what stupid question. I just love how sort of brutal Rocky is. And then it's sort of Grace is teaching him sort of how to have those human elements of like compassion
yeah,
and teaching him sort of even the simple thing of like a fist bump and then transpired it into a hug. Again, I think to myself, I'm getting emotional at someone cuddling rocks.
rocks.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing to me, film? Like what?
Yeah. There was a lot of those funny moments, and the bit
Yeah.
where Grace is recording on the camera as well, and he's like,
Whispering.
Yes.
Rocky's yeah, he's whispering because obviously
And you can hear every
Rocky's got
fucking word he's
obviously
saying.
hearing. He's like, I don't think I can hear him. He's like, who are you talking to? And it's just like those moments are just so funny, man.
It is
Yeah.
so funny. Um, I'm trying to think of other differences. Oh, there's a bit in multiple times in the film where they go up to this like room, which I call like a mental health room, where they're like seeing what Earth is like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not in the book, but I think it's a
Oh,
good
okay.
addition because it gets Grace to show Rocky what Earth is like.
Yeah,
He gets to see all that, and he
Yeah.
gets to, and it makes sense that they would have a mental health place for these astronauts who
yeah,
are miles and miles and miles away from home.
yeah, yeah,
So that was one of those additions. I was like, not in there, but I like it. I get it, and it makes
Yeah.
sense, particularly for the movie.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
nice touch.
I'm trying to think what else changed. Oh, one massive change is Grace does not go to Rocky's ship in the book,
Oh, okay.
so that was
Oh,
cool.
okay.
That was cool to see. Um,
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to be like that, but it makes sense because he sees through like sound waves, so it makes sense that he does
yeah.
it all that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and I think, oh, and the only other major thing I guess is the beginning. He takes a lot longer to kind of start walking because he's been laying flat for so long. It takes him a lot longer to get around
yeah.
the ship. I think he
How
tries
long has he
climbing
been
it
in
Definitely
that
through
makes
coma
sense. Like, of
for?
course, Steve would have been marking it
years.
down loads.
I think it was years he was in the coma. I can't remember how many years. But they said it was like an 11-year trip, was it, or something? They were
Yeah, I
talking
thought
about.
something like
11
that.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's those differences. Again, you can't spend that long in the
Yeah.
beginning doing that
And
because it makes sense. The robot
and
arms were used a
just
lot more in the movie as in the book as well.
yeah. And just to clarify, I did give it a 10 out of 10. So I haven't actually marked it down before you like keep jumping on it, right? I gave it a 10 out of 10. I'm being very nitpicky in the only aspect of the film that I can understand people having those, because if you're gonna, be an amazing film, then it's again, if that's the only bit that I'm saying in the film that could have been slightly tweaked, that's still an incredible piece of work.
Yeah,
So just like think about
and
that.
you both like the ending.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, I
it's
like
great.
and then
Yeah.
I thought
Go on,
because
Andy.
it played around with like you thought, oh, they're both safe, like they're both going back to their planets. Grace has got enough. I'm going to call it petrol. I don't know. I don't think that was the actual term they used, but he's got
Fuel,
enough
yeah.
petrol to get home.
Fuel. Yeah.
Rocky's got enough petrol to get home. Like they're both safe, and then all of a sudden, Grace realizes that obviously something's happened. It's like shit. I'll be fine, but I know Rocky's ship's not going to make it back home. So then, obviously, you're thinking, oh man, like Grace is about to sacrifice himself to save Rocky. After like Rocky just come back alive as well, and he thought he was already dead. To then see how it ends with them both being alive on Rocky's planet, interacting with him, like, and then obviously the last bit with like the school class and like other Rockies. I don't know what their species actually called,
Iridians.
but yeah, it's just that moment was just so cool and so fun, and it's like he has the choice to stay there or go home, and he's like, let me think about it, and I'm like, yeah,
perfect end.
We joked about it, like me and Jack, after we had watched it, and I was thinking, I love Rocky, but if it's a chance of going back home, bearing in mind that I've been sent up for a suicide mission against my will, I was sitting there thinking, would I make that same decision? It was a difficult one, because I was thinking of like, you would go back to your own family and your own. I mean,
But
Rocky's amazing.
He didn't have any family. That's the whole thing.
He didn't have any family. No, so I'm thinking about if you've got like a family of your own to go back to, and he didn't have that.
Yeah.
So I get that, but I do think it makes you think, what would you do in that situation?
I have to think though, it's not just a 10-minute journey home. It's for like 13 years to get back home.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
11
that's 13
like
years of your
12
life,
years.
like in a coma until you get back home. And it's like,
That is true.
well, I might as well just stay here on this fun planet with these species that, well, they do know about because they obviously sent the recordings back. But yeah, it's completely new to him. That's like his home now. Like Rocky's his closest companion. Like
he made the perfect decision, and it was a perfect ending to that film. I just think if I was in that situation, would I be as brave to do that? Probably not, but I think that's a normal human reaction for being in that kind of situation. I also love that the way that it was written, because it had some quite dark moments, the idea that they were going to send essentially a suicide squad up to this mission to save the population. Completely understand that, but that's quite a harsh thing. And what was the actress's name? Because she was incredible.
She was very good. Yeah. Her name is Sandra Hüller.
Sandra Hüller. What I loved about her performance is, naturally you would say that you shouldn't potentially like her or the treatment that she puts to Grace, particularly towards the end. But I loved it because the way that she did it, and lots of sci-fi movies and TV shows do this, where you can't say that that was the wrong decision. You know, sacrifice one to save millions is always the right noble decision. You just don't want to be that one that is being sacrificed, which unfortunately for Grace, as it also played, he was like the smartest man in the room, which essentially went against him despite all of the hard work that he put into. So I just thought that there was quite cool dark undertones, but the movie's so light and heartwarming and funny that if you actually start to look into it more, it's quite a harrowing story. But the way that it deals with that, people won't think of that unless you start to really dissect it. So we were talking about that, saying that was brilliant. Because also I love movies that talk about the sun. I think there's another, like a Danny Boyle movie, Sunshine, where they've got to, it's like a crew of 8 have got to go reignite the sun with a dying star. Otherwise, like if the sun goes out, you're gone. So I like the fact that that's also being discussed, and you have those sort of meet in boardroom sequences where they're talking about how bad this situation could be. So I thought the story was really, really engaging and exciting.
Yeah, and it starts to show the effects of that as well when he obviously sends the recordings back down. You see her on the ship, and it's like going through like ice, basically.
That's another thing that doesn't happen in the book. You don't see Sandra, or that's her actress name, but Strat getting the recordings. Rocky just says to him, like when they're back on Rocky's planet, oh, by the way, our scientists have like used the telescopes, whatever, and they've seen that the sun is getting brighter again. So your probes have worked. It's worked. So it's like a nice. You don't get to go back to them, but you know it's worked, and it's like you get that satisfaction.
This wasn't that is cool. This wasn't a funny moment particularly, but the sequence where it completely blows up, I did laugh and thinking, shit, you want to be responsible for that. You know, when the when they're doing like the tests and then the
Oh
entire
yeah,
facility explodes. I was thinking, oh dear, that's that's a spanner in the old works, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, it's it's a major part in the book as well, and I think it's the moment where you realize, okay, this is how we're going to get to Grace going up, because
Yeah,
they've obviously lost some
yeah.
people um, who can't go up anymore. I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth mentioning that's just like interesting facts from the book. I don't think so.
I think though, you mentioned that bit when we got to the point of when that exploded, there was part of me thinking, does then Grace volunteer or does he not? I couldn't work out which way he was going to go because he was starting to build up that confidence. And when he
Yeah,
then said, "Oh, I can't do it," I was like, "Well, you're in space, mate. So
Yeah.
you must do
I'm
it.
How do we
assuming
get there?
I'm assuming now either when she says to him, you've got 3 hours to think. I thought maybe
He'll change his
he'll go
mind.
through like this emotional moment and change his mind. And then when he doesn't, and he's in the office, I'm thinking, well, there's only going to be one other way that you're going to get up there. And as soon as those
Yeah,
guards walked out, I was like, oh, okay, yeah,
yeah.
you might be in
The
trouble
fact
here.
the fact like you think they would have made him like in the film like written it so he would say yes, especially when like you don't have any family. It's like he's like the perfect person to send up there
But
almost in terms of like you
that's
don't have
Yeah,
anyone
but
to
he's got to
lose.
go up there
But
to die. I
it's the
mean,
dilemma, isn't
I
it?
know,
It's they want
but
to show you, they want you to make not like Strat because what she's doing, but then you
yeah,
also see it as like, and he's that one of them in the, I think kind of go through it in the movie, but when it goes back to him in the book, it's like I'm a coward, like I didn't want to
yeah.
be here,
It's
I shouldn't be here, I'm a coward, blah blah, and it's like dealing with that. Yes, he's got no one, but you're still going up there to
I guess
die.
he's it shows the relatable side, I guess, because
Yeah,
like a lot of us putting ourselves in that in
yeah,
his shoes,
yeah.
like they
I'm
could literally be science teachers watching this, thinking
Fuck me, I
like,
better
yeah,
stop doing
I'm not gonna
science.
sacrifice,
I mean,
not gonna
take
sacrifice myself. Like, yeah,
take away like us having like families and responsibilities, but like if you were on your own, are you telling me that if they asked you that question, you'd be like, yeah, all right, I'll go up there to die. Like, I don't think it's
If I was
the kind of
it's
completely
not.
alone and was
really.
clever enough, I'd love to go to space anyway. Like that is
Yeah,
like a
if
dream
you
for
know
me
you could
anyway.
save
So
the world, like if you knew you could save the world, and like you're not gonna just complete the mission all of a sudden die as well. Like obviously you can live out part of your life on the spaceship,
yeah,
whatever.
Mhm.
I
But
No,
do.
I think I'd
I've
take a
remembered
leaf out
another
pick
of
up your
Grace's
thing.
book.
ball,
They don't mention
pick up
this
your
in the
PlayStation ball.
movie. They obviously they say you're the only choice, like because we've
Yeah,
got 3 days, whatever it is, and we haven't got time to find
till the,
someone. The other
Yeah,
thing they
yeah.
don't mention is that this, and I've just remembered this is all coming back to me. This French, what do you call it, amnesia drug,
Yeah.
only works on a certain amount of people that have a specific gene,
Okay.
and he's one of
He's
them.
one of them.
right.
So
What are the chances?
as soon as she got that information, that is the moment she says, as soon as we knew you as one of them, that's the moment I
Yeah.
decided you're going to be in every single meeting. You're going to know everything about this because you were always
Okay.
my
Yeah,
like
he
backup.
get
Last
he
resort.
get
Yeah.
he gets the highest level clearance. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. I
So
think I'd take a
there's
leaf out of
multiple
Grace's book.
things. Again, they don't have to do this in the movie because you can just accept things for what they are. Um, but there's like you could argue there's there's got to be another astronaut you could send up there, but no,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's it's even more restricted by this gene thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's quite clever then the way they do it.
it's
There
unbelievable.
was
I can't believe they pulled it off. It's so good.
yeah. There was a post that an interview that Ryan Gosling done with someone, and they were asking him like what his favorite quote was from the film, and he said when Rocky goes, Rocky hate Mark, and obviously it's referring to the scene
His
where
his ex
he's
girlfriend.
talking about his ex-girlfriend, yeah. But he was saying like they're just messing around and saying that, and he started talking about that because his friend called Mark, who's worked on like 10 movies, Ryan Gosling, he was just messing around trying to get him to laugh, and then obviously James, who's plays Rocky, came out with that, and then obviously got into the
They
movie.
had to
So
get it in.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite funny.
You know,
Yeah.
one thing that I also got, I don't know if you got it. I got a pin, an exclusive pin from Odeon for Project Hail
Oh wow,
Mary.
It might have been an
no, I
IMAX
didn't
thing
get
because I
anything.
didn't get one.
Yeah.
Oh, that does make sense. Yeah, so I've got a whole like pin collection, and my Project Hail Mary one is in that collection. So it looks lovely.
No one
But
got
yeah,
the
I did go
popcorn
see
bucket.
IMAX.
the one person that hated the film got a pin. Unbelievable.
I didn't hate the film. Like, shut up.
I didn't get the popcorn bucket, but I sent it to
I
Steve. I was
wanted
like,
it.
that looks amazing.
I
does look
I
good.
was this close, Welchy, of like picking it up, but I was like, no. It was. I've just spent nearly 40 quid on the Ghostface popcorn buckets. I thought I can't do another one.
He barely fucking wears it in the movie either. Like as soon
Yeah, I know.
obviously when he goes outside, he has to wear it.
Yeah.
I sent a picture in our WhatsApp group of it like on display because obviously you sent me a picture of Annie, and when I got up to it in person, I was like, "Fuck me, that looks even better in person." Like
Yeah.
it took every atom of me not to be like, but no, I think you can still get it actually. I don't think it's sold out, but I'm not talking myself into getting it.
Yeah, this is one movie I'm considering going again. This time IMAX because I love it that much, and I feel like if I love something this much, I probably should go back again. I want it to do well. We're never gonna get a sequel, but I want them to keep making movies like this.
Yeah.
And Andy Weir,
Yeah.
the author of the book, has said he's making a new book. He does have another
Oh,
book
okay.
called Artemis, which I believe is in between The Martian and Project Hail Mary, but it's the one that no one really likes out of the three. Like it's the least. It's based on the moon, and it's a bit different. The good thing about this and The Martian is The Martian, you can kind of see it as a story where all of mankind work together to save one person who's stranded. And this movie is the
Okay.
opposite, where it's one man goes out to save all of mankind. It's like a complete
flip.
Yeah.
So, would it be fair to say? Would you say that these are set in the same world, like the way that he's done them?
No, I don't think so. There's no
No.
mention of that, obviously. That would have been cool
Because
if
there's
they
like-
could have like mentioned
an Easter egg.
I can't remember the guy's name in The Martian now. It's gonna
It'd be
bug
hard
me.
to have two films where it's like
That's
about
bad, yeah.
space in the same timeline, like where these things that happen like 1 in a billion chance.
But he did say his new one's
Happen.
going to be sci-fi again. I think that's just his genre.
Yeah, he's bread and
I
butter, ain't
wonder
it?
because of the success of the book. I think most people consider the book better. Movie's up for debate. If he's going to go for that kind of buddy thing again, but I feel like you go for that again, it's going to be like, yeah, but
You can't do the same
you
thing
nailed
too
it the
many
first
times,
time.
can
You've got to
you?
do something different.
Yeah.
So I'm a day one buyer now. Like I'm his biggest fan. So.
I think I will definitely go and watch it in 4DX. Actually, the more I think about it, for that immersive experience, and then then I can then see second time round if my small critique
At the beginning, yeah.
changes.
It probably turn up 40 minutes late, won't it?
I need to see that bit. Cool. So we need to wrap up because we've got another podcast to record. But any final thoughts before we do so?
No, just amazing film, well written, great performances. Loved it.
Do you think it'd be in your top 10 by the end of the year?
Oh, yeah, I reckon so.
I think so. I was like, yeah.
If there's
Think about all
10
the
films
that
better
come
than
out.
this, that's insane.
That'd be, yeah.
It's such a strong year. I'd be shocked if it doesn't make. I'm not saying it will be like at the moment for me. It's number 2 behind 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. But we've got a hell of a lot of great movies to come.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be up there.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking about like the films that are coming out this year and the ones that I think will be on my list, and like just in terms of numbers, Project Hail Mary would be in there anyway to make up the top 10 list.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting it to be better than some of those movies that are going to be on my list.
Yeah, we'll see. Cool. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Late Night Movie Podcast. Let us know what you thought of Project Hail Mary. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Or are you more on Jack's side with a 4.5 stars? Drop your thoughts in the comments or tag us on socials at the Late Night Pods. We'd love to hear from you. And like Jack did, you can also join our Discord using the link in the description so you can get your thoughts in before we record our episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you are listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Speaking of which, I've not wrote down what we're doing next week. What we're doing next week, guys? We are doing something.
Is it Will?
One of the episodes will be The Wheel of Cinema, correct? And we're also doing top 10 DreamWorks movies. So that'd be a fun one. But yes, we're also doing The Wheel of Cinema, which you would have seen in last week's episode. And that film is called Amalur? Something like that.
It's got Sylvester Stallone in it. That's the only thing I remember.
Yes,
That's a 1.5
we did
rating.
say we'd announce it on here, and we haven't done that. Watch list.
Cool.
It's
We're gonna
called
go from
Alarum,
Alarm.
Alarum. It's on Amazon Prime, and yeah, I am not looking forward
I
to this.
can't believe we're going from Project Hail Mary to
This,
that.
yeah.
Great.
Until then, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I have been your host, Welchy, and my co-hosts have been Andy
Yeah, thank you as always, guys. Pleasure to be back.
and Stephen.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. And yeah, definitely go and check out Project Hail Mary. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.